Extra Time Show. My name is Charlotte Richardson and I am your host for this evening's show. Firstly, thank you very much for joining us on your bank holiday. I hope you're having a very good Friday indeed. And normally the Easter weekend is a pivotal weekend in the football calendar. We'd be on our way back from games, we'd be looking ahead to an important bank holiday Monday, but for obvious reasons, the action on the pitch has stopped. And here at Back of the Net, we are using it as an opportunity to keep our community in the loop about the decisions that are being made off the pitch that are having a really substantial impact on football clubs at all levels from across the country. And whilst our focus is ultimately on the grassroots and non-league game, we're also going to be dipping into the decisions being made at the Premier League and how ultimately that is having a major say for clubs across the country. And thank you to everyone that has subscribed to the show and has sent us lots of really interesting points of view, lots of different comments. Please do keep them coming. If you leave your comment on the YouTube channel, it pops up on my screen, but also do reach out to us across our social media channels on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. We would really love to hear from you, and particularly about how the decisions that we are going to be talking about are impacting upon your football club. I've got two fantastic guests again this week, and I'm delighted that I have Neil Baker joining us for a second week in a row. Neil, how are you?
I'm very well, Charlotte. Yourself?
Yeah, good. I'm keeping busy. I think today it really did hit home about not having football around, because the bank holiday weekend, we have that double header of games. It's normally so important in the run-in from teams looking for promotion and relegation. So I can't lie, I feel like I'm missing it even more this weekend.
Yeah, I agree. It's terrible, really. I think we were due to be at Bath away today, and which is one of the games you probably look forward to in our league, because it's a great ground, and a nice little journey down there. And yeah, it's very strange, and obviously there's still so much going on at the moment in terms of what's going to happen and everything like that. But yeah, I definitely miss the football.
And I know last week we spoke about the Premier League's decision. We'd kind of only just found out a couple of hours before, but it's come to light a little bit more in terms of the figures and how they affect teams in your league. So I'm looking forward to kind of picking your brains about that later on in the show. And alongside Neil, I am delighted, man that needs no introduction really, especially to Back of the Net viewers, Mr. Jim Cooper. Jim, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
How have you been keeping?
Good, actually. I'm, fingers crossed that everyone I know and family and friends are well at the moment. I've been going into work every day, so I've been fairly lucky in as much I'm getting out and about because I have to work, obviously. Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. All good.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. And I know that last week we made the point that football really is, in the grand scheme of things, not really that important, but the point of this show is to offer a little bit of respite, and we haven't really had a catch up for a while. And just talk us through your season at Grays and how, up until the decision last week, how it had been for you.
It wasn't the best. First half of the season was excellent up until Christmas time. We were in the playoff spots, and then after Christmas we had a meltdown, and it wasn't a nice time, if I'm honest. It was probably the toughest time I've had as a manager, and without any disrespect to my previous club, it was really tough. I felt it quite hard because the football club at Grays is fantastic. It's a fan-owned club, and I felt as if I was letting them down with our results.
Well, I'm sure you weren't, and I think one of the best things about this show is having the opportunity to sit down with the likes of yourself and Neil to give football fans in particular a real insight into the challenges and the realities of non-league football, and just how much time, effort, resource goes into it, and particularly from a manager's point of view, it really is invaluable for us to hear those opinions, and the insight that you give is really interesting. So I know that I, for one, certainly feel very privileged to be able to have you both on this evening. And Jim, I want to ask you first of all, what has been your initial reaction to football's stance to this crisis? We've seen rugby, we've seen cricket, We've seen leagues across the world react in certain ways, and there has been some criticism levelled at the Premier League. And one of the topics we spoke about last week was the non-league pyramid feeling slightly isolated. The £125 million press release came out, but unfortunately, it seems that this is not really new money in response to a crisis. And ultimately, another week has gone by with more questions left unanswered. What have your thoughts been?
Well, I mean, football in general has to adhere to the national government instructions in relation to self-isolating and obviously not congregating together as a large group. So they had no choice other than to postpone the football. I do think there's a big disparity in relation to the pro game and non-league football. And even within the non-league setup, there's obviously decisions been made from step 3 downwards. A decision will be made between National League and South and North. I'm sure Neil will have an interesting point around that, where they've got to make their own decision. But, listen, you said at the start of the show, there's a lot more important things in football, but it does rankle me somewhat in relation to how the FA has dealt with non-league football. And I think that you can have show after show after show and opinion after opinion on this, and not all of us will agree with it, but wholeheartedly, I generally believe there's a groundswell of opinion that non-league football is getting dealt quite a harsh lesson here from the FA.
And Neil, we've learned a little bit more about the finances and how the package will impact upon the National League. It turns out that 90% of the 125 million is going to the Championship alone. And looking at the figures, apparently every National League club is just getting shy over £58,000. For teams in your league and your colleagues and clubs in your league, £13,000. It's is pitiful the right word? Are you disappointed that there's not more financial help?
Well, unfortunately, it's not even that, because what I'm led to understand is the costs of balls and benchware and various other bits come out of that money as well. It's money. I said it on the show last week that I thought it might be an advance and not new money, and obviously that's transpired to be the case. And personally, I think it's a disgrace. It's almost been used, it's almost looked like the Premier League, the FA were doing everyone a massive favour, when in theory they've not done that at all. They've advanced the money, or they're going to advance the money. That doesn't help clubs for next season. Doesn't really help clubs for now. I'm bitterly disappointed. And when you hear the money, 13 grand, it's neither here nor there. I think the fact that 90% or whatever you say is staying in the Championship doesn't surprise me, with all the debt that's there. But it's just I personally believe that the FA and the Premier League, they've come out with a statement almost to appease people, and I don't believe it's doing us any favours whatsoever. The FA aren't helping, and I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about step 3, step 4. The amount of money in football that they can't put a package to try and help clubs and try and help clubs navigate their way through it is incredible in my view.
And I think there's a lot of opinion back in what you're saying as well. We had Sean Haswell tweet us saying it's frustrating as hell that the FA are literally cherry picking what's best for them. And I think rather than financially, that's looking at the decision around nulling and voiding certain competitions. And it's obviously quite interesting to have you both on the show together, because Jim, for Grays Athletic and your league, the season has been null and void. But for Neil, it's this strange waiting game to see what's going to happen. It's quite perverse, really. Would you rather be in Neil's shoes, or is it helpful knowing the season's over? Oh, it looks like I'm having some IT issues. Oh. Oh, have I got you guys back again? Sorry, I think I
Oh,
froze
yeah.
there. Sorry.
We've got you back. We've got you
Oh,
back.
thank goodness. Sorry, I didn't even get to hear your answer there, Jim. Is it a frustrating thing being alongside a colleague in the non-league pyramid, but not being the same outcome? Oh no. Good old IT issues here. I can't hear
Charlotte.
what. Oh no, I can't hear what Jim's saying, and I'm so desperate to find out. Okay, what I might do is restart our live stream because I am desperate to hear what Jim and Neil have to say a little bit further. So bear with us, everyone. Thank you for your patience and just give us 2 more minutes and hopefully we'll be back up and running.
Okay.